All right. We're joined by Miami coach Manny Diaz and defensive end Scott Patchen. Coach, we'll start with an opening statement for you, and then we'll take questions from the room.
I want to congratulate University of Florida on winning the game. It was a game filled like most opening games like this were with a ton of mistakes from both teams. And ultimately it came down to a couple red zone possessions, and they were able to capitalize. We were not able to capitalize, and ultimately that was the difference in the ball game. There were a couple major blunders on special teams, and the short fields right there really ended up being telling in a very low-scoring game where everything mattered. I thought our guys played with a lot of courage. I thought they played with a lot of effort, but it doesn't matter because we lost the game. We did not come here to play with courage and effort. We came here to win the game, and it's not okay at the University of Miami ever to lose to the University of Florida, and everybody in that locker room feels the pain of that right now. Questions?
We have microphones on either side of the room. If you could hold them up real quick, we're going to raise your hand so we can get a transcription. We'll start over here on the left.
Your team was so close, so far away. What do you glean from this? And I know, obviously, Miami's not about moral victories, but what can you take from this as a positive going forward?
Well, we talked about all offseason about developing a backbone, being able to withstand a punch, which happened to us in the first half, with the long, catch and run by Tony. And then that happened the second half when we fumbled the punt and they score on the short field, and a couple times where it's like, well, I don't know, maybe the old maybe it's not your night and you can just kind of let go of the rope. And I thought our guys looked those situations in the eye, fought through them, and ultimately gave ourselves a chance to win the game with 10 seconds left in the game, throwing the ball in their end zone. But like I said, that just gets you. That's what a big time program should do. I mean, you don't pat yourself on the back for not quitting, but it is something, and that was a big point of our off season.
Up here in the front.
Manny, Jaron Williams' first start. I gotta believe that you're pretty pleased with how he handled himself and hung in there.
Yeah, I mean, you probably can't put a guy in a more adverse situation than in this stadium. The amazing atmosphere from both sets of fans. Their defensive front, which we knew was really good, and Jaron never blinked. A lot of times didn't have a lot of time, and I thought he displayed a lot of courage. Made some plays with his feet. Made some, scrambled to throw. To keep some things alive, and I think you can see why we picked him to be our guy.
Over on the far right.
Coach, I know the loss is top of your mind right now, but as a whole on the week and coming here to Orlando, how do you think the city did as a host for the opening weekend of college football?
It was a big time event. Our players felt like it was a big time event. The atmosphere inside the stadium. I mean, this is why you come to the University of Miami, and I'm sure the University of Florida as well, is to play in these type of games. And again, I thought it was a great showcase for our entire state. And like I said, everyone talks about fan bases. I will say the Miami fan base brought it tonight. It was awesome to see our people there and as noisy as they were.
Over here in the middle.
Coach Melissa Thomas with Florida National News. Based on your perspective, what players did you feel were the biggest threat out there on UF side?
What players? Well, I mean, obviously they've got a lot of talented guys, but it was evident early on that Tony was a guy that I thought we tackled so poorly. That'll be one of the real takeaways from this game. I thought our tackling was not the way that Miami Hurricanes tackle, and that will be addressed during the bye week we have. But if you don't tackle a guy like him, he's got a chance to punish you, which would but to give away a play like that, you're not going to win a big time game just handing someone a free touchdown.
Up front on the right.
Coach, what happened on the 65-yard completion that set up the game-winning touchdown? Because you had a linebacker covering the receiver there.
That's not a linebacker. No, that's a striker. So that's what that is. That's part of the matchup.
Is that the matchup you really wanted on a guy like him?
Yeah, it was there all night. The same thing. Now there's also a safety that's supposed to be involved. So, but that's we led the nation in pass defense last year, doing the same thing. So we have an idea what we're doing.
Coach, in the middle.
Back in the middle,
yeah. Mike Griffith with the FWA freshman focus is getting back to Jaron a little bit. The growth that he can make from a game like this. You mentioned this is why you picked him to be a starter. Can't imagine he'd had any type of preparation for an environment like this, though.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. I mean, everybody on the offense, and everybody on both sides of the ball has got a lot of room for growth. The key is we just can't stop. If anything, now we've got to kick on and be more motivated to improve, because we can say, well, we played pretty good, and then all of a sudden we'll relax, and we'll end up in this exact same position in 2 weeks' time. So, if anything, I think we know that our guys found out that we can play. We can go toe to toe with a top 10 opponent, and but now that should kind of hurt us a little bit to really get in there and study the game and find a way to get better.
Stay in the middle on the right.
Yeah, Coach, having this like a week 0 game, quote unquote, how much of the challenge as a coach that one last week to polish your product really before the game?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand this.
How much time does that give you, like having one last week, having this being like a week 0 game, quote unquote, having that one last week before you prepare?
It affected your summer training a little bit, but it did it for both teams, so I don't know that there was an advantage one way or the other. The thing that we'll both have to manage going forward is you've got an extra week in your season. So you're playing 12 or 13 games over, and it's already a double bye year anyway, the way the calendar falls. So I think just managing us for the long haul, this is going to be a long season for these kids.
We're going way back in the left. Coach.
Manny, sir, way back to your left. Just your thoughts, should college football continue to do this week 0, one showcase game for a couple of programs every season?
I thought it was a great commercial for their program. I thought it was a great commercial for our program. I thought it was a great advert for our entire state in the city of Orlando. So I don't know what the downside of this is. So it seemed like it was a great occasion.
We have over here on the right.
Yeah. What was the behind the 11 sacks for the Gators? Inexperienced. I know you guys weren't experienced out there on the edges.
Well, a couple of things. Yeah, I mean, obviously we have a young offensive line. They've got an experienced front that we knew would give us some trouble, and then it got into a point where there was going to be a lot of throwing in the second half. So you have to put, that's just all part of it. You got to put yourself in some situations where you got to expose yourself to their rush, and part of it's just getting the ball out too. And so I think it's like anything else. I think it's always unfair to say, well, it's just on this position or that position. Protecting the quarterback is an 11-man job on offense. But I think, again, the way that the game finished, we were obviously in a drop-back throw mode.
Over here on the left.
The penalties, particularly on the offensive line, again, it's inexperienced guys there, but just how do you think they kind of handled the whole atmosphere, first start?
In the first half, you could see they were freaked out penalties. We were moving, and that was the inexperience, and that was just, the setting just being a little something to take some getting used to. And in the second half, it was more, we did away with the false starts and that type of stuff. Now it was just more playing the game, and not holding it. And I thought a crucial point in the game was when we got the big interception. And this just shows we're not ready to be a big-time team yet. And we get a 15-yard penalty for taunting, and on the next play we get a 15-yard penalty for a chop block. We give away 30 yards on really what might have been the winning, change of possession play of the game, and that's just that means we don't have the maturity level to see a victory through. So that's a process of what we have to learn, and we're obviously not there yet.
I want to make sure I've been bouncing around the room. Do we have some questions for Scott? All right, we'll go over here on the right.
And you debuted a new turnover chain in this game, and then also the 4-finger rings for the offense. Can you just break down what was the idea behind each one? This year's installment of the turnover chain, and then also the new offensive jewelry.
Yeah, the turnover chain. You're always looking to sort of spice it up, and I thought the 305 thing came out really well, and the kids loved it when they saw it. And then we talked about the offense wanting something for themselves, but the chain is kind of unique to the defense. We want to be something different, so we got us some touchdown rings that they like, and I'll be very honest, I didn't really see what was going on after we scored the touchdowns, but hopefully we'll see a lot more of them.
All right. We'll do some additional Miami breakouts outside their locker room. If you head out this door and take a right, the opening right at the beginning of their locker room there, Jaron Williams will be there, DJ Dallas and Shaq Quartermain will be part of the availability for Miami. We'll start with Florida in just a few minutes.